Like, you've been put in this situation. No one's going to come and save you. You're going to have to work on it yourself. Yeah, and did the world end from gaining a few kilos? And I was like, no, like nothing happens. Like just think, what's the worst that could happen? What is the actual worst that could happen? Hey guys, I am back for part 2 of the how to gain weight when you need to gain weight. Tips to get to a healthier weight if you need to. And yeah, so basically I really wanted to just do this all in one video, but knowing me, I just talk so much. But I thought I really should finish this off because this is probably the most important bit that people struggle with the most when it comes to putting on weight when you need to. So first things first, it's really hard. I completely understand and get it. And especially when you're like, everything you see around you is like how to lose weight or all about weight loss. But you just have to remind yourself that some people need that. Some people are at unhealthy weight and they're too overweight and they need to see that. But you have to remind yourself that does not apply to me if it's not the case. And you know if it's not the case, you know if you need to gain weight, you know if you don't get a period, or if you don't feel good, or if you're like feeling weak and fatigued, and you just know you need to be at a healthy weight. Just in case you clicked on this video, this is part 2, so definitely check out part 1 before you watch part 2. But now I'm just gonna say how mentally to do the things that you need to do to gain weight, which is resting more and eating more. Okay, first of all, I've explained in lots of other videos why it is so important to recover from having an eating disorder and to not stay in the state you're in when you have an eating disorder. That's a mental health disorder. It is so it's horrible. Like, you're constantly at war with yourself, constantly. I know some people who have messaged me saying thank you for your video, I really hope I can recover, but I'm struggling. There's a voice in my head that's telling there's two parts of me, and I have the same thing. There's two parts there's two voices in your head. One is irrational, one is rational, one's an eating disorder, one's not. One is yourself and one is your eating disorder, because you're not your eating disorder. That is not you. You can't help that. And I know you have to be the one to fix it or to heal yourself and to work on it, but you didn't choose to have it. Like, I've seen people say to other people, like, oh, I know people or some people might say it's an entitled disorder because, you know, people are starving, they don't get to choose not to eat, but you know, you choose what you do. 100% you don't choose to feel that way. You don't choose to have panic attacks if you did. Like, you know, when I was in my worst state, I couldn't do something because it was extremely I just couldn't, you know, eat more calories or eat something I didn't know what was in it. It wasn't like I wanted that. Like, you don't want to be stressing about food or be starving and not letting yourself eat. You don't want that. So I completely don't blame people for having that or experiencing that. But in saying that, it is your responsibility to fix it and to heal yourself, regardless of if it's not your fault for feeling like that. You've been put in this situation. No one's going to come and save you. You're going to have to work on it yourself. And I know it's hard. I have received the message a lot saying I'm just too scared to not be really skinny and to put on weight. And I'm scared of not liking the way I look, or basically it's all about how you look. So yeah, that's how it is. I get that. And you just have to remind yourself the reasons why you have to do it: for your health, for your sport, for your well-being, to enjoy your life. Okay, so firstly, for your health. So if you are underweight or under a certain essential amount of fat, your hormones do not work anymore. Your body is not functioning optimally for a human being. You need an essential amount of fat for your hormones to literally work. you notice that your hunger goes all out of whack. Like, that's because that's controlled by hormones. You notice that you don't have any, your thermoregulation mechanisms that your body does don't really work anymore, because again, it's controlled by hormones. Like, you're freezing all the time. Your body can't thermoregulate. You don't get a period anymore because that is a female hormone, and your hormones don't really work anymore. And you don't have a sex drive, your hormones don't work anymore. It's just not healthy. And on top of that, on top of just hormones not working, your body is breaking down. It is eating at itself because you're not feeding it enough. So it's breaking itself down to use as fuel. So you don't have enough food coming in for fuel. So it's going to start breaking down your fats, then your muscles, then everything. So your bones break down, your hair breaks down, your nails break down. I noticed, like, when I brushed my hair, I had clumps of hair coming out. My nails were really weak. And this is a huge part of the female athlete triad, which I actually talked about in my very first video about this, because I basically said, I know I'm experiencing this. Like, I hit every bracket. Like, I experienced all of that. I researched a lot on it. And the thing is, so many female athletes, obviously it's not just athletes these days. Like, in the past, it was predominantly athletes. But obviously now everybody's so obsessed with looking a certain way because Instagram, social media, you know, bikini pics. But especially in like the running world, when you want to be really lean, people have a lot of body dysmorphia and, you know, bad body image and trying to shred or whatever. But I know it's a huge thing just in life now. But it's very common with athletes. And the thing is, with athletes, especially runners, you're going to get injuries. Like, this is no surprise. If your bones are breaking down and you're putting the stress on it from training, that will break. You will get stress fractures. That is very common in athletes with eating problems. People in their 20s who have had or suffer from eating disorders get osteoporosis in their 20s. Like, their bones, you know, they get osteoporosis. You shouldn't be getting osteoporosis till your 80s, or like, you know, like, you don't want to be in pain and your bones not working and hunched over and have arthritis and your joints be poor and weak because you didn't eat enough and your body broke. So your health is so important. And on top of your health just breaking down, you don't feel good. You feel really weak and tired. And like, for me, because I'm a runner, I'm a sprinter and a hurdler. I run 400-meter hurdles. That's what I was competing in before I got injured, before I lost lots of weight. And then when I was the past season I've been coming back from injury, but I was suffering from not eating or fueling myself. And I knew I was doing that, but I couldn't eat enough because my head. And I was running 800s and it was slow, and like, I just felt terrible. Like, I was just flogging myself at training and then competing and not running well, and I just was not, like, it was just not a good time. And for me, that's why I had to just take a break from training. And I really did not want to lose all the fitness that I gained, but I knew I had to take a few steps back before I could start taking steps forward and get fitter and fast properly. I was healthy and strong and not broken. But I would like just get myself through hard sessions feeling terrible and try and feel good for the session, but then I'd spend the rest of my time being broken af. Like, I was just so exhausted and tired, and like, it wasn't good. And I've made videos where I've explained all the health effects that you experience, so check that out. But basically, your health is important, so that's a mental that's a thing that I would remind myself. So I can, like, it's just hard because, you know, you're hurting yourself, but I know a lot of people know what they're doing is wrong, but that doesn't stop them. It's just one of the things you have to use as a tool when you're trying to eat more and you can't. So another thing that helps me do the right things to put on weight is focusing on what I want, focusing on how much I love sport and being an athlete and sprinting and doing it well, and which I couldn't do when I was really underweight. And like, a lot of the time I lose vision of that so much. Like, I'm down on myself. I'm like, there's no point. I'm never going to be good anymore. Like, my PBs from when I was freaking 16. Like, I know, like, but I'm not going to give up. But I just mean, like, it's hard to stay motivated when it feels like it's, I don't know the word, but out of reach, or just like I don't know, it just feels hard. And but I just have to remind myself and like stay on track. And like obviously you'll fall off the bandwagon every now and then, but you have to keep getting back up and getting back on it. And I just kept reminding myself it's important to be actually fit and strong and fast. So something I encourage people to do is have like, if they don't have a real purpose outside of their health to gain weight, they should focus on actually being strong and fit and like an athlete. Like think about what your body can do for you. You got like changing your mindset from thinking about what your body looks like to what it can do. So being able to run fast or, you know, lift heavy. And so I just focus on how I used to feel and how much happier I was when I was in a more capable body rather than a really shredded thin one. Another mental thing is just like the fact that when you're in this terrible place, you feel life isn't fun and it's sad and you're really depressed. And like you have to pick your happiness over your like fear of not being really lean or your fear of gaining weight. Because if you think about it, like one of my coaches said to me, like it was so rewarding, like because sometimes you like are gaining weight and then you feel like, why am I doing this? It's so hard and I'm not actually getting anything out of it, because it's a slow process. But I was feeling really good at training, like finally feeling better again. Not all the time, and like it's just, I know it's like just beginning, but like, and I'm still getting there, but I felt faster and stronger, and like not like how I used to, but just so much better, like how I haven't in a while. And I was like doing like some speed training, and like my coaches were like, Amy, because you gained a little bit of weight, you look so much more stronger and powerful, and like good on you. And then I was like, yeah, I actually feel really good, I feel happier as well. And then one of them was like yeah, and did the world end from gaining a few kilos? And I was like, no, like nothing happens. Like just think, what's the worst that could happen? What is the actual worst that could happen? I'm filming a video. So something I just said to myself was just try and gain the weight, get healthy again. And you know what, if it's that bad, you can just, you know, lose it again. I know that sounds terrible. I don't mean that at all. It was something I just said because like I completely knew I wasn't going to let myself do that. But just to let myself know that, like, you know, you don't have to go and I don't know why I'm saying this, because I feel like a bad person and I'm not promoting that at all. But it's just like a little mental thing. I knew I wasn't going to do that, but I just said, look, it's not like, basically your bodies change all the time, but you can't do that. Like the thing is, I knew that this would happen if I gained weight, that I would feel better. And because as I like put on weight, I remind myself why I do it, and I learn to love how I look and learn to love what I can do now, learn to love how I feel, learn to love life more, which I work on, and I knew I was gonna happen as I gain weight. So I knew that was gonna happen, but I just told myself I could just do that. But I knew I was going to be like, oh, jokes, this is way better than, you know, living in that horrible place. It was just something I just said to myself to help me pull myself out of that place, which it's just like, I see, you know, there's sometimes you see anorexic women who are old. I'm in this group of, which I highly recommend joining. I posted on my Instagram story this Facebook group about women recovering from being really underweight and not having a period. And it's mainly, there's a few young people. It's predominantly made up of women who want to have children and they just can't because they're not fertile, because they're underweight and they don't get a period. And also women who realize like they just hate life and they hate living like this, and they've been in that place for 10, 20 years where they just like are scared of food, scared of not constantly smashing themselves in the gym. And it's just like, when I was on it, I was like, if I don't do something, I'm going to be in this place in 10, 20 years. I'm going to be freaking 30 years old and be like, you know, so depressed and like in a bad relationship with the world, because all you're thinking about is food, or when you're next allowed to eat, or how much you have to run. And I was like, I need to change now, because I can't just keep doing this, because I was like, it's already been over a year, and I was just like, I'm not doing this again. That's another thing that helped me mentally. I kind of spoke about the number thing mentally in my part 1, which was like focusing on getting my weight higher, and that was predominantly to get back to doing what I love, which is my sport. I also mentally focus on the fact that I would be able to build more muscle and get stronger. So like when I'm in the gym and with my strength coach, who I've still been seeing, but it's just like really modified, and it was really just like following how I feel. But I started to feel really good because I was resting more and eating more. So I started to lift heavier. Like I literally was lifting heavier than when I was really in a bad place. I struggled with weights because like I'm generally a strong person, but I just was breaking down. So obviously, deadlifting my body weight was hard. But then I started like, I'm still deadlifting very light, but I was doing like, sets totaling like 25, 30 at 60 kilos, and I felt good and I could do it. And I was just like focusing on like, fuel yourself to gain muscle and be stronger in the gym. So that was another thing. And obviously weightlifting isn't something that is burning too many calories because your heart rate's not getting up too high. So, it's like, I think it's good to do when you have to gain weight, it's good to weight train. So that's one thing that I've noticed. I know people say when you go all in, you cannot do exercise, you have to rest. And yes, you have to rest so much more, but I think completely like being a blob and cutting out all exercise every day, like some days it's probably good, but every day it's mentally not good, and physically, your muscles will waste away. So I think obviously when you're coming out of like inpatient, if you've been inpatient for anorexia recovery, then you don't have muscle to waste away. Your body ate it all. To just like when you're at the lowest of the lowest, definitely take a few weeks off. But in general, I think it is healthy to just do some type of movement each week, even if it's a Pilates class or going for a light walk or doing some light weight training. But that kind of helped me. Weights was a motivator because I was like, I want to eat to repair my muscles and get stronger and fuel myself so I can lift heavier, and get heavier so I can lift heavier too, because if you're heavier, you're going to be able to lift heavier. What other mental things? Honestly, there's so many mental things, thinking about, just the biggest thing should be for you that you have the gift of life. And if you've ever been in a place like this, that it's not, it's not worthwhile. It's not worth your life. And you have the gift of life. You're alive. You should be living your life and be enjoying it and be happy. And you want to be able to have experiences, fall in love, travel, have kids, or make a kid happy, or make someone else happy, or make yourself happy, or do something that you're proud of, or be successful. And you can't do any of those things in that place because all you're thinking of is, I'm so scared to eat. Like, when can I next eat? You're just hungry all the time. You're just breaking down all the time. And the truth is, we're human. We constantly need to eat to survive. So that's something that just rules your life because, you have to eat every day. So when you recover and you're not so panicked about when you can eat, what you can eat, how much you can eat, you just eat when you're hungry, you stop when you're full. That means you can enjoy your life. That means you can, focus on something without being, you can focus on studying something you like, or you can focus on doing something you love. And you can focus on, if you go traveling, you can be like, you can enjoy trying another culture's food. You can enjoy, going and eating street food in Asia. It's not even about food. It's just about like that not ruling your life so you can then live it. And 100%, it's just, that should be your biggest motivator. Like, that should be a huge motivator. When people say things, when people have messaged me like, I'm just too scared to not look a certain way. But you should be scared of, you get one shot at life. Like, I know, like, YOLO, haha, but it's true. Like, you live once. So if you get to 50 and you're like, I just spent all of that in an eating disorder because I wanted to be skinny, because I was scared not to be skinny. It's not that you're just afraid of how you were going to look. Then you'll be like, shit, I didn't live my life. Oh my God, like, I'm old now anyway. I'm wrinkly now anyway. It doesn't matter how I looked back then. I didn't have fun. I was sad. you know? I'm sorry if that's intense, I'm just trying to be motivating. So it's just mental things that I've thought of and things that I've used to, you know, be like, stuff this. A big thing is people are scared of how they're going to look when you gain weight, and so they're waiting for the right time and they think they can do it. There's never going to be a right time. You're never going to feel, you know, it's never going to not be scary. It's going to be scary if you start now, if you start tomorrow, if you start next week, if you start in 20 years, if you never start. It's going to be scary, but it's going to be worth it as well. But the thing is, you can't wait until you're ready. You're not going to be ready. You just have to jump straight in. And there's going to be setbacks. Like, don't let like having a meltdown about like, oh, I gained weight, I don't see my ribs anymore, I don't like that, I feel fat. Those meltdowns will probably happen, but don't let them stop you. You have to then be like, stuff it. Now I feel, you know, more energetic, so it's better that way. And then you'll be like, I actually like how I look now. It looks better. You know, I don't look so emaciated. And you start to, you know, slowly get used to it, slowly work on it. I have had my fair share of times where I like felt disgusting in myself. I'd be like, oh my God, I can't see like defined a six pack. And I was like, I felt bad. Like, and the other thing is like, it is hard when you know you're eating in a surplus because you have to eat more calories than you use up to gain weight. You feel like, you know, I don't know, like I've had times where I felt like someone who has a problem and they have to binge eat because they have to eat a lot. So I'm like, have like some obsession and I'm like, I have like a problem and I'm like a binge eater or something. Like, you have your times when you feel like, I don't know, like you just feel shit about it. But then you just pick yourself up and keep going and you're just like, no, things are getting better. My life is getting better and I'm getting happier and healthier. And like, I can't wait for the day when I get a period back. Yeah, so basically it's not always going to be smooth sailing. You're not going to suddenly one day be like, you know what, stuff this, I want to be healthy. And then you're going to gain weight and be like, I look so much better now, I feel better. Like, it's hard, but you just have to like do that. You have to do those things. You have to appreciate and love how you're going to look when you just be like, appreciate other things about yourself, you know, find the things you like about yourself. It can be physically and mentally, you know, you can be like, I'm such a strong person, I'm overcoming this eating disorder, this mental health problem. You can be happy that you're a kind person, mental things. But also if your obsession is on physical things, focus on different physical things, you know, like growing your booty because you can be strong rather than really skinny. Focus on physical things but not appearance. Focus on what you can do. If you are able to have a baby, you know, if you don't have a period, you can't have a baby. Or if you're able to run a PB or do something or lift a PB weight, like that's so much better and more empowering and meaningful than just looking super lean. I don't know how I feel about, you know, bikini models, fitness comp people that do like, you know, bodybuilding comps where it's purely about aesthetics, being called athletes. Like, athletes, you know, anyone who does a sport to get fitter or stronger or faster is an athlete. You don't have to be an Olympian to be an athlete. You can be an athlete because you're a runner. You know, you can just be some 30-year-old who works an office job but runs every day, trains their heart out and does, you know, City to Surf and other 10K runs, City to Surf every year and 10K runs every couple of months, and they run well and they're like, you know, trying to get fit. That's an athlete. I think an athlete is somebody who is training to be fit, to be fast, to be strong, you know, in the pool, in the gym, on the track. Like, CrossFit people are athletes, but people that, you know, just try and look shredded for a bikini comp and it's purely aesthetic, it's got nothing to do with performance. That is not being, I don't know, I don't want to say that's not being an athlete, but that's just being obsessed with your body image. That's not seeing how strong you can get or how fast you can get. That's seeing how lean you can look. And it's like, do something more meaningful. I hope this video series, like part 1 and part 2 of how I have gained weight and am gaining weight, has been helpful in some way and encourages someone else to do that if they need to. And yes, and yeah, so thank you guys for watching and thank you for all your support and keep going.